So in this video I wanted to talk about the development of modern railway signalling and how, by looking at both UK signalling and North American signalling, we can see that one can possibly feed into the other. There are many tenets that run throughout most signalling systems in the world. We can look at the UK signalling system from British Railways and London Underground. As you can see in the picture, you've got one on one side and one on the other side, and actually how that feeds into most signalling systems in the world and how we can get from that to this. And that's what we're going to look at. So the first phase of railway signalling was the track warrant. The track warrant effectively was a written instruction saying this train is allowed to be on this track at this time, but it's not particularly useful because it's not really good for high sort of volume traffic. So the next phase after that was the ball. See the picture. The ball that is raised high, or the high ball, is a go, and the ball raised low is a stop. But that's a very basic system. There was a very similar one around about the same time, possibly after, which is the vane or the bar. Very, very similar type of thing. The bar going across or the vane going across is a stop, and the bar, or almost invisible, like see the side of it, is a go. From that, modern semaphores emerged. So I could go into a video about semaphores because the subject is absolutely huge. That'll probably be a future video, but at the moment we're just going to stick to the basics. So the semaphore was a system which could show a stop, a go, or possibly a caution, depending on how many aspects that were enabled. And later on they had spectacles fitted, and the spectacles are the colour light filters. So effectively that's the start of colour light signalling. So the semaphore system is controlled by signal boxes, and it's all mechanical. So basically levers are pulled in the signal boxes. These levers mechanically operate the signal arms up and down, and on some preservation lines you can still see the mechanical workings of that. And the big change that signals made over things like, I don't know, traffic lights for example, is that they interlock. So you can have a condition that if a certain signal was at danger, a certain other signal could show only certain aspects, or if a certain signal was green, the other signal would show danger, and that's very good for safety. If you look at the picture there, you actually see the London Underground. They're not called signal boxes, they're called interlocking machine rooms, which makes complete sense. And what they're full of are relays. The North American equivalent would be I think you call them signal bungalows or relay bungalows. Strange, because in the UK a bungalow is a house with no upper level. So signal bungalows are absolutely full of relay system. In the UK we can have these too. They don't look like they do in the States by any stretch, but they look like this. Most often they're in boxes by the line side. So that's the same sort of equipment, stuff that is meant not to fail, or not to fail within reasonable time, and it controls the safety systems on the railway. Real modern colour light signalling started from the semaphore, as you can see in the picture above. And the semaphores can go up, do a somersault, go down, and the relevant spectacle light will be illuminated. And it's very good because the drivers could see where they were going at night, which they couldn't do on the older systems. So moving on from semaphores, we have the colour light systems, and there are infinite variations of these. In the UK we have some very basic system because we have route signalling. So effectively we have up to a 4-aspect system, which is basically stop, caution, a preliminary caution, which is like an advanced caution or a clear, and then we have a feather on top of a signal which will tell you that you're switching a route that way, or maybe 2 points down, 3 points down. I think the route feathers can go up to 3 switches or 3 points to be affected. And most other countries in the world have a combination of speed signalling all route signalling. And this brings us on to the North American system. How did we get to that from here? So it's very interesting. So basically we have a multi-head system, and actually if you look at these two pictures here, and this is on a line from, I think, from Euston to Watford, you can actually see a multi-head signal, and you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, this is not in the States. Well, we have them here too. And now, if we're on the subject of multi-headed signals, here's the interesting thing. The London Underground actually uses multi-headed signals, but they absolutely do not work in the way that the North American signals work. The two heads will simply show the current signal, which will be a home signal, so red or green, and the next signal, which will be a distance signal, and that's what it is. The other very interesting signal that we actually have is the D-type, and we've had the D-types for years and years and years. Effectively, there's a picture of one at Edgware Road Underground Station. I went to actually have a look at that just a few weeks ago, and what I found was it was actually all covered up. I was most disappointed. So effectively, now they're moving towards a cab signalling system, and that's great. But the problem with a cab signalling system is you simply can't model it, or you don't get the fun, if you have cameras, of seeing the signals in all their glory. So to me, to a modeler, that's a completely retrograde step. For modern railway safety, it's a great step. However, this shows you that I think the North American system is a lot of fun, because basically multi-heads, lots of fun. You've got to learn the aspects, and it just looks, to be honest, absolutely brilliant. That's a very quick gallop from Track Warrants all the way through to modern colour light signalling. That's how we got from there to here. Very, very quick run through. I hope now you can see that there are actually some interesting similarities and some very interesting anomalies in the UK systems, including London Underground, to the North American systems. And it was my pleasure to kind of bring those to your attention. So thanks very much for watching.